Hi, everyone, and a pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. We are just about to get things going here in match number 2 for the Fort Scott Lady Tigers this evening, as they will take on Chanute coming up here in just a few moments. If you weren't with us for the first match tonight, the Fort Scott Lady Tigers did fall in 2 sets to Independence, and that drops their record to 0-5 in the SEK, 2-17 overall, and looking to get a win here coming up against Chanute, who comes in undefeated in the SEK League so far this season, 4-0. And then, at least in their league matches, they're 4-0, 12-6 overall. And looking forward to this match coming up. We mentioned earlier that the 4A East standings have been officially announced. Or the East, the group of teams, the 18 that are going to be in the 4A East have been announced. That was just over the last few days. Hayden out of Topeka, they are leading the East right now at 22-2 coming into action tonight. So they're the number 1 seed currently. Excuse me, Rock Creek, which is, I think, kind of in between Topeka and Manhattan. They are at 23-4. They've been pretty impressive over the last few years in 4A as well, both on the girls' side and boys' side of just about every sport. They've been up there, and so they are in second place right now. Eudora is in third, and Chanute is in fourth at 12-6 overall. They are tied overall coming into tonight with Independence in that. So Independence would be ahead of them on percentage points at this point. But, of course, Chanute will play Fort Scott here, and then Chanute and Independence will play each other coming up after that. Number 6 is Lewisburg coming into action tonight. Holton is 7th. Paola is 8th. 9th is Tonganoxie. Wamego is in 10th. Miege is in 11th. It's 7-11 overall. But, of course, always dangerous, that private school there. And then Labette County is 12th. Baldwin is 13th. Parsons is in 14th at 5-11 overall. Atchison is in 15th. Coffeyville in 16th. And then the two that, if Sub-State were to start today, that would not be in a Sub-State would be Ottawa in 17 and Fort Scott in 18. So, again, you got to be in the top 16 of the 18 to make a Sub-State. And the top 4 teams would host different Sub-States. And so, much like baseball and softball over the last few years as well. And so, right now, Hayden would be in a host spot. Rock Creek would be hosting, Hayden would host Paola, Coffeyville, and Tonganoxie if things ended today. Rock Creek would host Holton, Atchison, and Wamego. And then Eudora would host Lewisburg, Parsons, and Miege. And Chanute would host almost an SEK invitational there with Independence, Labette County, and Baldwin. So that's kind of what it's looking like right now. And of course, plenty of time to get back in for Fort Scott and Ottawa to get back into a sub-state spot, as Fort Scott, by my calculations, just 2.5 games out of a spot in the sub-state right now, and they've got plenty of time left with games coming up on Thursday. Back at the Tiger Dome, we'll have those for you as well here on Duckbait TV. Columbus, Girard, and Pittsburgh will all be there on Thursday night. So looking forward to that matchup. And then Fort Scott will travel to Altamont on Tuesday next week to take on Labette County and Pittsburgh as the second go-around in the SEK League gets started. And then, of course, a trip to Coffeyville to play Coffeyville and Parsons coming up later on in the month, as it is October 1st. Kind of hard to believe that it's already October, but we're already in October. And then, of course, a trip to Paola on October 17th. And then they host Independence and Chanute to close out the regular season. And that's on October 22nd. So looking forward to the rest of the schedule. And like I said, plenty of time left for the Lady Tigers to get in a sub-state spot. And, of course, they've got a tournament in Colgan coming up on October 12th as well that could help them out for seeding purposes too. So looking forward to this one coming up here in just a little bit as Fort Scott takes on Chanute here in Independence to close out the evening for the Lady Tigers. As we mentioned earlier, my apologies if you're not wanting to know the results, but just too excited to not share them at this point. The Kansas City Royals won earlier today over the Baltimore Orioles, so they have forced a must-win for Baltimore tomorrow. So the Royals, that new wild card best-of-3 series that was added a few years ago. And the Royals in the MLB postseason, and so they won today, 1-0. Cole Reagan's had a great start on the mound for Kansas City. Bobby Witt Jr. had an RBI base hit in the 6th inning, and that was enough for the Royals today. So they will play tomorrow. If the Royals win tomorrow, the series is over. The Royals advance. If Baltimore wins tomorrow, then they will play a winner-take-all third game on Thursday. So Royals a little bit of a cushion now in that wild card series. So again, looking forward to the rest of the week for Kansas City. And if they can win this series against Baltimore, they will guarantee themselves at least one home game. They would play the Yankees in the next round, I believe, and they would play the first 2 games in New York, but they would play at least a third game in Kansas City. And I believe it was yesterday, was the 10-year anniversary of the famed wild card game where they beat the A's, came back late and won in extra innings, and can't wait to get the Royals back in Kauffman Stadium if that's a possibility. Underway here in Fort Scott for the second match of the night as the Lady Tigers are up against Chanute, and the Lady Comets come away with the first point. And now it's 2-0 after a decent rally there. 2-0 Lady Comets. Fort Scott comes near side. And another point for the Blue Comets. Fort Scott comes near side to Clements. She'll get it over the net. Fort Scott tries to set the block and gets it. So a nice opportunity there for the Lady Tigers. And they will get their first serve opportunity here. Kendall Aiken back to do the honors. 5'7" sophomore for the Lady Tigers. Chanute, and that one finds the back corner. So 4-1 Comets here in the early part of set 1. Fort Scott comes to Hazel Baker on the near side. Tried a little drop shot, and I believe they called a lift on on Chanute. 4-2 now the score. And Clements back to serve again for the Lady Tigers. They have Stewart, Comstock, and Hazel Baker all on the front row right now. They come near side. And Kinley gets it over the net. Back to Hazel Baker. Comstock gets it over. Now they'll come back near side, and it is in there for a Coffeyville point. And another ace for Coffeyville, or for Chanute there. Blue Comets now lead 6-2 here in set number 1, and Lady Tigers are going to take a timeout. We mentioned earlier, Chanute coming into this one tonight undefeated in SEK League play. And they've been a tough team for many years in the SEK. I don't know how many times they've won the league over the last several seasons, but they've won it several times. They're always very good, always a tough opponent, and proving to be that way so far here tonight. So they lead Fort Scott in the first set, 6-2. Near side it comes. Nice job to keep it alive. Now Fort Scott comes back near side. That was a double contact on Fort Scott. They missed it. This one now blocked out of bounds by Fort Scott. So Chanute gets the point anyway. 7-2. Fort Scott tries to go far corner, and that one's going to work out for a Lady Tiger point. Allie Kalishaw will check back in for the Lady Tigers. They'll get a sub as well, as Kalishaw came in and swapped with the libero Rayleigh Cowan. But they will get a sub too, as Kinley Clements will check in for Grayson Pitts. And served there by Comstock, a little bit too low. Point goes to the Lady Comets. 8-3 now. That one, and that should have been a four contact. They're going to give it. Well, I thought it. Point goes to Chanute here. I thought maybe it wasn't four. Either way, time for Fort Scott to regroup. Now trailing 9-3 here. It hit the net. Might not have been the third touch that hit the net. It's always and that one dug out of bounds. So run here by Chanute. They lead it now 11-3. I believe 6 straight points now for the Blue Comets. And that one goes a little bit long for Fort Scott. And Lady Tigers going to take their second timeout. Try to settle themselves down here against Chanute. So 12-3. Fort Scott trails. Again, don't forget, we'll have coverage for you on Thursday night as well. The Lady Tigers will be back in the Tiger Dome, as Columbus, Girard, and Pittsburgh will all make their way to Fort Scott. I'll have coverage of that match for you as well. All the Fort Scott matches in that one for sure. And then back into league play on Tuesday, a week from tonight, as the Lady Tigers travel to Altamont to take on Labette County and Pittsburgh. It's the second trip through the league begins next Tuesday. Volleyball, just like basketball, plays a double round robin but throughout the SEK League. So look forward to that one coming up. Kind of interesting as we bring up basketball. We'll get to that in a moment, as Fort Scott trying to get back into this volleyball match here. That one will be blocked in for another Chanute point. And they now lead at 13-3. Keisha passed here just in the last week or so an increase to basketball games coming up. I don't know that that'll be for this season. I think it said 2025-26, I think, which would be next year, if I read things correctly. So that'll be interesting to see. Right now it's 20 games. Per season for boys and girls basketball in the state of Kansas, but that's going to be increased. And I cannot remember the number exactly. But it'll be interesting to see what teams do to add those games going forward. I know a lot of coaches have been asking for that for many years to kind of keep up with states around Kansas that play more. That one is a little bit long. So 14-5 now. Fort Scott with a couple straight points here out of the timeout. Chanute gets it back up to a 10-point advantage here in set one, 15-5. Come near side. And a double contact foul on Fort Scott makes it 16-5 Chanute here in set number one. Fort Scott picks up the kill there. Nice dig by Cowan. Fort Scott will go far side with it, and they'll find the empty corner. Now 16-7. Stewart to serve again. And Chanute stops the Fort Scott run back to a 10-point advantage at 17-7 here in set number one. Fort Scott goes far side. That one's off the block and in there, so Kendall Aiken picks up the kill. And Comstock will check back in for the Lady Tigers. Also, Anna Farrington comes back in. Cowan back to serve. And that one just a little bit too much on it that time. Back to a 10-point Chanute advantage here in set number one. And now 19-8 after the service ace. Long dig that time and sets up Chanute's front row perfectly there. Get it back to Comstock, and Comstock picks up the kill. So now 20-9. Fort Scott trailing. Haven't seen a lot of those overpasses tonight for Fort Scott. We've seen that number drop over the last couple of weeks. It's always good to see, but had one just a few moments ago. Chanute kind of scrambling there on the back, but they are able to keep it alive, and that one will go out of bounds. So Chanute 4 points away from winning set one. And that one, I think, went off the Fort Scott block. So Now Chanute serving 22-9. Fort Scott gets it over the net. Now they'll try to set up the block and couldn't quite keep that one going there. So now set point for Chanute, 24-9. Come to Hazel Baker near side. Dakota gets it over the net. Now back around to Chanute. They'll try to far corner, and that'll get in there for the kill. And so Chanute wins the first set, 25-9.
Patty West and Crystal Cowan are a mother-daughter duo selling personal and commercial insurance. If you need home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, business, or commercial insurance, they've got you covered. Visit them at 3 East Wall Street in downtown Fort Scott or call 620-223-0700.
Need a full mani-pedi before big weekend plans? Or maybe you want some special nail art to celebrate your favorite singer's football-playing boyfriend? Either way, Delin Abadi is ready to help. Nails by Delin is on all the socials, and you can call or text at 620-704-1315. Nails by Delin at Spoiled Brat on 3rd Street in downtown Fort Scott. If you're in need of livestock risk protection, multi-peril crop insurance, or help with your pasture or private products, Caleb Simpson has you covered. Call or text Caleb with Twin Pine Solutions at 620-215-4144. Liberty Savings has been in Fort Scott since 1919, helping community members with their banking needs for over 100 years. Visit them at 24 South Judson or call 620-223-0300. All right, so set 2 just about ready to get underway here tonight as the Fort Scott Lady Tigers looking to get back in this match a little bit after losing the first set. Looks like Kendall Aiken will be back to serve for the Lady Tigers. They'll also have Dakota, Kylie, and Kinley Clements all in the front row. Kendall will be on the back row with Avery Stewart and the libero Rayleigh Cowan. Nice dig by Rayleigh to keep the play alive. They get it over to Kinley, and just a little bit of a miss hit that time by Clements. Goes into the net, and Chanute will take the opening point of set number 2. Fort Scott works it back to Comstock. She'll get it over the net. Dug by Chanute. Block opportunity for the Lady Tigers. They keep it alive. Come to Clements near side. And that one is off of Chanute and out of bounds, so Fort Scott will get the point. Clements to serve. Another overpass for Chanute that time, but Fort Scott able to keep it alive. And we got a whistle here. And the point will go to the Lady Tigers. A violation, couldn't quite tell what the official called there, but a violation on Chanute, so Fort Scott gets the point, 2-1. Nice dig for Chanute that sets up the kill there at the net, and I'll get it back tied at 2-all. And they call a net violation maybe on Chanute. They're giving the point to the Lady Tigers. Fort Scott takes a 3-2 lead here in set 2. Back row attack from Chanute. Fort Scott able to get the dig there. Work it near side to Stewart. Now a block at the net by Fort Scott. Chanute able to get it over. Fort Scott trying to keep it going there, but couldn't get enough on it there. So we're back tied at 3-all here in set number 2. Fort Scott comes to Stewart on the near side. Nice dig on the back row by Chanute. They'll keep it alive. Comes back. That one couldn't quite get over the net. So Chanute gets the point there. And they lead 4-3. And Fort Scott will get the point to tie things up here. 4-all. And here in the second set. One will go in there for Chanute. And I don't think that one got completely over the net that time. Either way, the Lady Tigers have tied it up here in set 2, 5-all. Nice job by Fort Scott to get to that one. Avery Stewart diving on the floor. Now the Lady Tigers will get the point as Kendall Aiken gets the kill. 6-5 Fort Scott here in set 2. They lost in 2 sets to Independence earlier in this evening. Lost the first set here, and they're going to call a lift on Chanute. Fort Scott leading now 7-5. Avery Stewart serving again. And that one a little bit too short, so Fort Scott, a nice run here. Sees them take a 3-point lead. Kick it back near side, we got a whistle. And maybe a net violation on Fort Scott, so that'll give it back to Chanute here. And that one looked like it was going to go out of bounds, but does clip the line. So now it is 8-7. Chanute making a comeback here. Fort Scott will get a sub. Avery Stewart will come off as Farrington checks back in. That one out of bounds off of the Blue Comets. And now Kalishaw will go in to serve. Chanute works it near side. And that one off of the Fort Scott block and in on Fort Scott's side. So 9-8 now. Another long dig that time and kind of got Fort Scott out of position just a little bit. So we're tied at 9 all here in set number 2. Chanute back out in front here in the second set, 10-9. And now it's 11-10 as Fort Scott will get it back. Nice job by Fort Scott to keep it alive. And another Chanute point here. Fort Scott will seemingly go through stretches, unfortunately, this season where the first touch is not great, the passing has not been great at times. That one goes out of bounds again, or stays in bounds rather. So another Chanute point. And Fort Scott will take a timeout here, try to stop their run. Again, the Lady Tigers will be back at the Tiger Dome on Thursday as Columbus, Girard, and Pittsburgh will all come to the Tiger Dome. Fort Scott just traveled to Girard last Thursday, lost to the Lady Trojans 2-1. So they'll be looking for revenge there and see how everything else goes on Thursday. We'll have coverage of that night for you as well here on Duckbait TV. And that one falls in there for the Blue Comets, so 15-10 now. In favor of Chanute. Long dig that time. Kept alive by Fort Scott, though. Get it over the net. Oh, they're going to call a lift on the Lady Tigers. So now it's 16-10. Second set started really well for Fort Scott, but again, they just seem to have some issues at times where they go through stretches where their passing just isn't great. Their defensive positioning isn't the best. And so they just go through stretches where they struggle sometimes, and unfortunately that's where they're at right now, trailing 17-10 in set number 2. Come near side to Dakota. Nice swing by Hazelbaker. Nice block by Comstock. And it's blocked back at her by Chanute. And Fort Scott, somebody's got to call it there. As Dakota and Kylie ran into each other. So it's now 19-10. We'll take a short break here and come right back. This is Fort Scott Volleyball on Duckbait TV. Edward Jones has been advising customers in the world of finance for over 100 years. Financial advisor Jamie Armstrong continues that tradition in Fort Scott. Contact her by phone at 620-223-1866 or email Jamie at jamie.armstrong@edwardjones.com. And a little bit of miscommunication that time by the Lady Tigers. Now 20-10. Scott will come back to the middle. Get it to Comstock. Set up the block, but goes out of bounds. So the run continues for Chanute. Nice job by Rayleigh Cowan to keep that one alive for Fort Scott. Back over to Chanute. Come back to Comstock, and she'll fire that one in there. Down 21-11. And Kinley Clements in to serve once again for the Lady Tigers. Nice block opportunity for Fort Scott, but it does go out of bounds off the Lady Tigers. 22-11. Set the back row, and that one will be a kill for Chanute. 23-11 now. They're closing in on a second set victory over Fort Scott. Ball goes to Comstock. They come back to Kylie, and that swing was a little bit long. And now it's match point for Chanute, up 24-11. And there it is. So Fort Scott falls in this one. 25-9 in the first set, 25-11 in the second set. We'll take a very quick break and come right back. This is Fort Scott Volleyball on Duckbait TV. If you need residential, interior, or exterior painting done, or your cabinets refinished, contact the folks at Aura et Labora Painting Company, LLC. Fort Scott native Josh Regan is ready to help you with your project, so give them a call at 620-288-6617. We'll wrap things up quickly here as the Fort Scott Lady Tigers fall in this one. The final score, they lost both matches in 2 sets, and losing this one here 25-9 and 25-11 to Chanute. So Lady Tigers on the season fall to 2-18 overall, 0-6 in the SEK, and they'll be back on the floor on Thursday, and we'll have that coverage for you as well as they'll be back in the Tiger Dome. Lady Tigers will have Columbus, Girard, and Pittsburgh all making their way to Fort Scott, and we'll have the Fort Scott action for you on Thursday in that match there in the Tiger Dome. Thanks again for joining us this evening. A tough luck night for the Lady Tigers as they fall in both sets. For my dad, Willie, who helped me get everything up and ready to go here tonight. To all the duck baits out there back at home, and to all of our viewers out there, thanks for watching this production of Duck Bait TV and Fort Scott Lady Tiger Volleyball. Good night, Kansas.